I decided to do my selective media on the movie The Blind Side. It was based off Michael Lewis's book. He wrote it in 2006 called The Blind Side: Evolution of a Game. And it went off, or based off of Michael Orrs, who was the main character in Blind Side, the football player. It went off his real life story. The Blind Side was produced, or wrote and directed by John Lee Hancock, and he made The Blind Side in 2009. He also produced movies like The Rookie, The Alamo, Saving Mr. Banks, and a couple more, but those are his more popular ones. Like I said before, The Blind Side is based off a true story about Michael Orr, and a lot of the movie exaggerates Michael Orr's life, which there are a lot of interviews and stuff about him in my material where he talks about how he doesn't necessarily like how he's portrayed in the movie because it exaggerates his childhood and stuff that's just not true. So a little bit to understand the movie better, he came from a broken family in real life. So I'm gonna talk about his real life because then the movie will go off of that. So in real life, he came from a broken family. His mother was a troubled addict and was not around, and then he did have a father who was absent. And he came from a family of 12 children. Or became enrolled in elementary school, and he failed some years because of his lack of resources and having support with him. Or was also 350 pounds and 6'5" as a teenager, so he was a huge football prospect for many years. But the school was his main issue because you can't play sports when you have bad grades, like high school. The Tuohys, which is the family that took him in the movie and in real life. They took him in and helped him with school and sports. They helped him get into a private school and get him sports scholarships because they saw the potential in him. He eventually went to the University of Mississippi, and after 4 years there was drafted to the NFL by the Baltimore Ravens, and he played there for many years. Or retired from the NFL in 2017. So that's a little bit about his history, and you'll see some of it's similar in the movie, but some of it's a little bit different. Like I said, the film is not accurately portrayed according to Orr. It gives too much credit to the Tuohys, mostly saying that they taught him football. And he says, Orr says in a lot of his interviews that he knew football his whole life, and it was disrespectful in the movie to show that he had no clue about football and he had to be taught it. But this film is helpful in understanding the white savior complex, which is what a lot of my material is about. Because the Tuohys are seen as saving Orr from his previous home life and then being the credit behind all of his success. So the white savior complex is important to keep in mind when watching the film, and then I have some material on that. And the film also portrays racial stereotypes, which we previously learned about in this class. You'll see that quite a bit in the movie too. So then just some background on the material I chose and why. So the first video I chose talks about what a white savior is and the issues surrounding it, because honestly, before I saw this movie and saw this complex showing, I did not know what it was. So I thought this video explained it well and why it's an issue in certain situations. Yeah. Then the first article I chose talks about the incorrectly represented black stereotypes in the film, which is very important. I think that the production of the film exaggerates these stereotypes quite a bit. So you'll probably see that too. The second video I chose explains white savior complex in the film. And it briefly talks about Michael Orr's story, but it kind of just ties all the racial stereotypes, white savior complex into The Blind Side, whereas the other materials just talk about them separately. And then the last article shows tweets and reactions from the audience after watching the film. So that gives a perspective from the normal audience watching and what they thought about the video. So overall, this movie's based on a true story, but it is exaggerated like I mentioned. And the two main ideas to keep in mind when watching are the white savior complex and racial stereotypes.